Brown 45. Brown 45. Hot, 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 hot.
You are listening to Any Given Sunday, Australia.
Yes, hello and welcome to the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast, the number one podcast in at least 3 households, 1 studio, American Football Australia head office, NFL Australia head office, worldwide, London, China, wherever you want us, you can listen to us. Joining us, as always, in the West Wing of his new place at Danny Webb, AGSAU. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. But the West Wing is currently falling down, so apologies to anyone if there's any background noise. But we have some news, so today I had to go ahead.
Yeah, we couldn't put this one off anymore. We're going to start off. I don't know if you can kind of tell that I'm pretty bloody excited about this episode and this week, really. There's some cracking games and, like you said, some big news happening. The first thing we're going to talk about quickly, the Chiefs and the Saints in Monday Night Football. We both watched it. We say it every week. We got to pick the Chiefs until we don't. And they've just showed why they are the Chiefs. Juju, Kareem Hunt, Kelsey, the standouts, and the Saints, they plain sucked from the start of the game, mate.
Yeah, the Saints were definitely not up to the scratch or level that we thought they were going to be, were they? They just kind of were lackluster the whole way, couldn't get a drive together to save them. Kelsey absolutely stepped up when you knew that Mahomes didn't really have any other options. Shout out to Jackie Rick out there who did the old ladder bet and had him for receptions for 7, 8, 9, and 10. He finished with 9. So, did quite well with that in the end. But we said that he was going to have to, if the Chiefs were going to be able to show any fight. And they didn't only show fight, they absolutely dominated them.
We should listen to ourselves, mate. We said that Kelsey's going to be the one that he's going to target. We only put him in for 5, which he had in the first quarter. So, but Kareem Hunt was pretty big. They did feed him the ball, especially early. But Juju Smith, he was the one that kind of stood out with us. We didn't think he was going to be as big as he did, but he went up for 130-odd yards in the end. Yeah,
Juju probably recreating a name for himself and kind of reminding the Chiefs fandom that he's not as sucky as he used to be.
He's gone around, done the roundabout with a few other teams, but made his way back, and it's probably a good time too, as like you said, everyone's going down, so a good team to land at a good time. But yeah, the Saints just definitely throwing an interception on your first series, like they were just never really in it. Like they were thereabouts, but yeah, just not the Saints that we thought, especially after those first 2 weeks. They're now 2-3 after going down again.
Yeah, so is that the third loss in a row after 2 dominant games at the very start?
Yeah, no, I think you drink your water, mate. The Saints just not quite where we thought they would be, but yeah. All right, we've got some bigger news that we need to talk about. It's come through yesterday, for whenever you're listening, that Coach Saleh has been let go by the Jets. We said that he was on the hot seat, but I didn't think this hot this early.
No, there is so many questions that need to come out of this. So they'd only just gotten back from their trip to London where they played the Vikings and they were competitive and lost on the final drive against a 5-0 team. Well, at that stage, 4-0.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they land back in the building, everyone knows that football week, it's their Tuesday, technically it's their Monday. And Saleh gets marched out by security. Woody Johnson came down and fired him in his office. Absolutely wild scenes down there in New York / New Jersey. We all know where it actually is.
Yeah, New Jersey. It's not New York.
No.
Yeah, I was a bit bewildered. You sent me the message early and said that he's been fired. I was like, nah, surely not. It's a misunderstanding. But you're right. He got let go. And like you said, so many questions. They're 2-3, yeah, fair enough. But it's not, the building's not burning down. Their defense, I think, is top 5. Offense has a lot to work with. And that's what I heard, that Saleh was going to let the play calling go away from the OC, Nathaniel Hackett. We all know that Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett have a little bit of background together, and he's the one that brought him across. So the rumours that he was going to take the play calling away from him literally moments before he was marched out the building kind of has a little bit of a stink to it.
100%. And realistically, is the issue here with Rob Saleh, who is a defensive-minded coach. The defense is doing well. the issue is probably Hackett. But like you said, if Rodgers is the one, this whole team at the moment now for their win-losses is surrounding by Rodgers. Like, all decisions are going to be based by him. And if Rodgers was Hackett's guy, well, they're going to try and keep Hackett around to keep Rodgers happy. Apparently so.
Yeah, Woody's definitely hard for him. I'm without a back of a better term. But so he's the first coach since 1964. Lou Holtz was fired, being above 400 for the season. So there was others that have quit for certain reasons. But being fired at above 400 is the first coach since 1964. So they go in this week. If they actually beat the Bills, they're top of the AFC East.
Yeah, so it couldn't have come at a worse time. So they're playing the Bills in prime time on Monday Night Football. And if they win exactly what you're saying, they're going to be the top of the AFC East. So there's still a chance that they're getting a home playoff game. If they beat the Bills and then continue winning, they will still going to get a home playoff game and you're going to fire your head coach. It's complexing. And then after that, they've got coming up, just getting the schedule. We've got the Steelers, Patriots, and then the Texans.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 out of those, you still...
And the Texans is another primetime game.
Yeah. The offense is definitely the issue. They were 2-3 this time last year and 93 points on the board. 2-3 this year, 93 points on the board. So they're saying that Rodgers is no better than this time last year when there was no Rodgers. So I think, I don't know, firing your head coach is not this early, unless there was other problems that we obviously don't know about, because it just seems bewildering to everyone that I've read. Yourself, myself, it seems like a very reactionary thing, I guess.
But if you were going to do this, do it at the start of the season. Fire him at the start of the season. Let whichever coach you're going to put in there have the room, build his own culture, build his own team dynamic surrounding that, and let him do it from the start. Don't do it 5 games into the season when you still have you're fine. We're not burning down the house. You're not the Bengals. You're not 1-4. You're not 0-5. You're 2-3, and you would have been 3-2 if it wasn't for that final drive by the Vikings. And the Vikings are just hot at the moment. To me, that's an acceptable loss.
Yeah, and overseas as well. It's not as if it was in your building. This week against the Bills is at home. Yeah. Do you know who? You're the one who's across it a bit more than me. Who's actually been promoted? Are they going to be interim coach, or are they going to find a coach before the end of the season?
The DC, Jeff Ulbrich, has been promoted as an interim coach. But as we've seen throughout other seasons, normally when an interim head coach gets put in, they stay for the rest of the season.
Yeah. We imagine that's just he's got a long time to be like, well, pick me as your coach. But there's a lot of good coaches out there, Bill Belichick. Who's the big guy that was the Patriots? Oh, nah, fuck
Belichick?
Yeah, there's definitely going to be, I think we leave it for next week to actually talk about who's going to be the next head coach as well, because I reckon that's another 10, 15-minute discussion that we've already spent a lot of time on this, but I think it's pretty safe to say that we're both pretty bewildered with this decision.
Oh, honestly, it's mind-blowing. And as I said earlier, firing a defensive-minded head coach, but then promoting the DC to head coach, you're replacing a defensive-minded head coach with a defensive coordinator, even though your offense is struggling. None of the decisions make sense in this situation.
And Nathaniel Hackett stays. Interesting, yep. Well, they wouldn't be having these problems if they were going as well as this young man is. You've put this in. You wanted to chat about it, so I'm going to let you go. But Jayden Daniels, if he was at the Jets, then I imagine we're not having these dramas.
Absolutely not. Yeah, so my point of this is Jayden Daniels, an early MVP. Would a rookie do it? And here's my reasoning why. Currently, he has more passing yards at 1,135 than the Bills, Josh Allen. The Jags, Trevor Lawrence. That's not really a surprise. They're stinking. But the Bears, Caleb Williams, who got picked above him. The Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. And the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, who has been a hot topic this morning. Not only that, he also has more rushing yards than a lot of running backs out there. A lot of running back ones. You got the Lions, Jamar Gibbs, Falcons, Bijan Robinson. The Jets, Breece Hall. The Jags, Travis Etienne. Steelers, Najee Harris. Jayden Daniels is taking the NFL by storm this season.
He's already down to $11 and fifth on the market. So I think there's a lot of people that are starting to agree with you, mate. And I just want to, before we move on, Mike Vrabel was the one I was thinking of. He could be a great head coach. Anyway, there's some huge numbers and some huge players that he's definitely got covered at the moment. And, hey, $11 is probably pretty juicy.
Yeah, pretty juicy. I'd love to know. We probably should have looked this up prior to jumping online. But when or ever has a rookie won the NFL MVP?
No, I don't think because that's what they were talking about. CJ Stroud last year being the first to do it, and his run, run home the way he finished that he could have done it. So I'm pretty confident in saying that an MVP's never been a rookie. So huge if it was him. I can see you Googling away.
The top article that just popped up is rookie QB Jayden Daniels isn't the NFL MVP favorite yet.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, we're going to talk about it soon, but after this week, it could be up there in the favourites, depending on what happens. Now, we've been asked by NFL Australia, good friends, like we said, they do listen to us weekly, and it is on in their head office. We're doing the power rankings for the NFL Australia this week, and we obviously spoke about it before we did this, and we come up with a top 9 pretty comfortably. So we're going to run through that quickly. We've got the Chiefs at 1, Vikings at 2, Commanders, you bumped them up to 3 on their, is it 4-game winning streak now?
4 games. So they only lost their first, and that was to the Bucks, and won everyone since.
Ravens, I had them at 3. You bumped them down to 4, but that's all right. They're still top 4. Then we got Texans, Falcons, who've jumped up in the last few weeks, and surprisingly not higher, considering they were 1 play away from beating the Chiefs, and then they would be 4-1 as well. So Falcons have definitely earned up there. Lions, Bills, and Bucks round out the top 9. Top 10 is what we need to do, and this 10th was very contentious. We threw up, do the Steelers hold it, even though they were pretty lackluster this week? Do the Cowboys come up? They haven't been great. Just got a win over against the Giants a couple of weeks ago. Do the Bears? You put up the Bears, and I was like, yes, the Bears have got a pretty good record, but who have they beaten? They smashed the Panthers this week, which if you don't smash the Panthers, you don't deserve to be in anyone's top 10. But you also had another couple that you thought could be up there.
Yeah, so my little sneaky pick here was your pick for the worst team in the league, was the Broncos. The Broncos have gone on a beautiful 3-game winning streak.
Yeah, and if we're picking the rankings right now, they're definitely up there, but I don't think you can go past I know it's my team, but my Packers, your Eagles, I suggested, did have a bad loss against the Bucks the week before the bye, so it's hard to put them in there as well. But I think it's hard to go past the Packers. We're 3-2, and realistically, the 2 losses we had, we came back from 28 points down against the Vikings to lose by 2 or 3. And week 1 in Brazil against you, I think it was also only a field goal in it. So to be 6 points off being 5-0, or 7 points off being 5-0, I think we deserve to be in the top 10, I reckon.
Hard to argue with you. As much as this is a little home run, a little homer for you to get the Packers in there one way or another. To be fair, I was the one who actually shot down the Eagles because we don't deserve to be in the top 10. We're not playing top 10 football. AJ Brown's coming back and Devontae Smith next week. Then we'll have another discussion about this. And hopefully they ask us to do the power rankings 2 weeks in a row because, baby, they'll be in there then.
Well, I said that if the Broncos win 4 in a row, it's hard to say that they can't be in the top 10. And they've got the Chargers this week.
Yeah, and the previous 3 wins that they did get was they absolutely dominated the Bucks, which are above them in the power rankings. They beat the Jets. That was a bit of a snoozer, but beat them by 1. And they beat the Raiders very comfortably. Convincingly
in the end, too. A couple of pick sixes and stuff. Yeah, look, if they beat the Chargers, it's going to be hard to say no to them. But, that 10th spot was definitely hard, but I'm glad that you relented and let my Packers be number 10.
You said you were going to stop paying me if I didn't let you.
Yeah, that's fair, and I will. I definitely will. So make sure that if you do have a different top 10, get on the. I'm presuming it's going to be. I know it's on Instagram. Presuming on X. Get on there. Let us know. Let NFL Australia know who have we got wrong. Who should we have in there? I look forward to everyone hitting up at Danny Webb AGSAU on X and telling us how much you're wrong. The Jets fans, they'll be in here.
Oh, the Jets fans beat the Bills, then come talk to me.
Yeah, and they might. They very well might. I picked the two games this week. It was fucking hard. I won't lie to you. There was a couple of absolutely ripping games, but I did settle on. I think game of the week for sure. This one is the 4-1 Commanders at the 3-2 Ravens. Surprisingly, maybe unsurprisingly, but surprisingly to me, with a -6.5 for the Ravens. I don't think they should be that favourite.
So, a few things on that. So, yes, it's a huge line, but they are playing in Baltimore. Not that far for Washington to travel, as Baltimore's essentially next door to one another.
Hop, skip, and a jump.
Hop, skip, and a jump. But the issue with the Commanders, yes, they've won 4 games in a row, but their defense hasn't been necessarily fantastic because their offense has been so dominant. The Ravens have another level of offense coming at them. You got that double head threat of King Henry and Lamar Jackson. You don't know which one's going to dominate you, but one of them is pretty much on every single play. So the Ravens are coming off that really tight overtime battle against the Bengals. So they potentially might be a little bit banged up, a little bit sore. 3-game winning streak versus a 4-game winning streak. It's going to be very, very tough. Very, very tough. The Commanders 22nd against the rush, which could be a massive issue coming up against this number 1 rushing offense.
They are the two number 1 and number 2 scoring offenses. So you're right that the Commanders are definitely there. I think 31 points a game they are at the moment, and the Ravens at 29. So right up there with each other. But yeah, that 22nd against the rush, I'd be. I'm not a gambling man. I don't know if you know that, but I'd be putting money on both Henry and Lamar for the overs, I reckon, because they're going to run all over this offense. One thing I did notice in those stats that I was looking up as well, the Ravens are really good against the rush. I think they're top 5 against the rush. So it'll be interesting whether Daniels can bring that passing game to. I feel like that's where he's going to beat them because they're pretty big up front, the Ravens. But yeah, 65% of the money is actually with the Ravens at $1.33. Like, again, I don't think the Commanders, they don't, like, Daniels doesn't know what he doesn't know yet. He's only lost 1 game and it was a pretty good game anyway. Like, they're going to be pretty confident leading into it.
Yes, but as much as I'm so unbelievably high on the Commanders right now, their wins have been, they beat the Giants. Everyone should beat the Giants this year. They beat the Bengals. Good, surprising win, but as we've seen, the Bengals are not in any form of form whatsoever, which we've learnt now. Beat the Cardinals. Shoulda, coulda been a closer battle, but wasn't, and then beat the Browns. So this is realistically their first big test. If they can get past this Ravens team, now we're talking MVP, playoffs, Super Bowl. We're talking it all. But let's wait and see if they can actually get it done against a, established, dominant Ravens team.
And when you said the Cardinals, they smashed the Cardinals. It was 41-10 or something. But that's after they played Detroit. And we all know you lose after playing Detroit. So does that really count?
The Detroit curse is where we are now calling it. Well, we'll wait and see. If the curse continues.
So sounds like you're going to Ravens.
Oh, no.
Oh, God, no. Oh, sweet.
Oh, no. I can even show you in my tipping comp. I have well and truly picked the Commanders for this. For the win. Not just for the line, for the win.
Yeah. I'm going to go Commanders at the line, but Ravens for the win. That's what I'm picking.
Wow.
Yeah.
A little multi of that together. That could
nice
be
little. That'll be juicy.
Juicy odds.
I do think that Derrick Henry he's absolutely dominating. And like even last week, he didn't have the greatest game, and he had 30 or 40 yards leading into overtime, but then had a 51-yard rush to finish with 81 yards or something like that. just he's never out of the game. And Lamar's Lamar, like slipping over and throwing touchdowns. It's just he's a cheat code at the moment. It's just not fair. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great game, and I hope the Commanders. I hope they don't get blown out because I want these Commanders. I'm enjoying talking about how good they're going, and if they get blown out, then it'll just be they only beat the Giants, Bengals, Cardinals, and Browns, like you've just said, where you come up to a really tough one and they get blown out. Where if they can keep it within that line, I think everyone goes, you know what, Commanders are thereabouts.
Yeah, and that's all that they're going to need to do. And everyone out there, all the professionals, including us, are picking them to actually be within that line.
Yeah, picketing. That's us.
Picketing.
The next game, like I said, there's a few big games. I think it was Detroit and Cowboys. That could be a big one. There's a Jets-Bills now. Could be a huge one.
That, to be fair, it's got to be up there with one of the biggest games now coming into this week 6 slate of games because of that new coach bump.
The good thing is it's Monday Night Football, so we'll be able to talk about it before it happens.
Absolutely. But yes.
That's why I haven't picked it. The second game I picked is actually this Friday morning's game. The Seahawks, the 2-3 49ers at the 3-2 Seahawks. 49ers are 3.5 point favourite. That's surprisingly the two games I've picked. The two teams with the worst record are comfortable favourites.
Well, the 49ers should not have the record that they had.
No.
Both teams realistically need to get out of the funk because the Seahawks started 3-0 and were looking very comfortable and then now have dropped 2 straight. The 49ers must be feeling a huge amount of pressure, like absolutely huge amount of pressure to win, to go into Seattle and get this job done because they need to get back to a 500 winning team. They can't realistically drop too many more games towards the rest of the season. Realistically, for them to have a decent playoff run, you only really want a 5-loss season going into it. If only you can drop 2 more for the rest of it, they've got some work to do.
And there's a big NFC West battle too. Like if the Seahawks can get the W, they're going to be, 2 games clear of the 49ers with the advantage. It is in Seattle as well. So, but I was going through the San Fran. They should not be a 2-3 team. They're listen to some of these stats. They're 10th in scoring total, 2nd in total yards, 4th in passing yards, 7th in rushing yards. They're the number 1 time possession per game. So they have the ball for average 34 minutes a game, which is by far the number 1. They're 12th in points against. So they are getting scored against, but not the worst. 10th in total yards against, so that's pretty good. 7th in sacks, so they're thereabouts. Like they've got some big boys up front. Like 8th in interceptions. This is not a team that should be 2-3. And like we said, the last 2 out of the last 3 games that they have lost, that's where the issues are. They're giving up leads, not scoring in the second half this week. What can they do? Is it mental? Like they're a complete team. They're just not getting the job done.
Yeah, they've still got a few outs, and George Kittle's been listed as questionable with a rib injury. We all saw Jake Moody go down because that's how our big boy Mitchie got his first field goal. They are still relatively banged up and heading into this. They're just going to have to really grit and grind and get something together. Brock probably hasn't been at the level that he was last year, leading up to the playoffs at least anyway. Probably just needs to calm a little bit, needs to settle, needs to find his targets, and just get the job done.
Yeah, see, it's harsh. I had a few 49ers fans have been quiet this week, but before that, he has been playing well. He's been throwing plenty of yards. Like I said, they're up there top 5 for passing yards, but just a couple of late decisions, or he had an interception late this week. Just feels like a couple of rookie mistakes that he hasn't been doing when he was a rookie, just kind of creeping in a little bit. So I do think, 62% of the money's on the 49ers at $1.55. I do think they'll go in there and win this week. A little bit of adversity, going away, travelling away, I think. So their 2 losses were both at home the last 2 weeks as well. So I reckon they'll travel well together. They'll get around. Shanahan will get them together, and I'm going to back them to get in there and get the W.
I reckon they'll get it done too. And they realistically need to because they've got the 6th hardest schedule moving forward from this point onwards.
Yeah, and we said that the other day that they're going to be tough because of where they finished last year. So, yeah. But the Seahawks are definitely not a team to mess with. Like, they had a shocker this week. Like, half time, I saw the stats. At half time, they had 2 rushing yards, the Seahawks. 2.
It's never going to get the job done.
That's never going to get the job done. You need a good rushing game, especially against this 49ers team. You need to be able to rush the ball. Kyler Murray showed that on the weekend. They beat him on the ground, not so necessarily in the air. So it'll be an interesting game. The Seahawks, definitely under pressure with those 2 sliders that they've had the last few weeks. But I reckon the Niners will get the job done.
I think they will, get the job done and definitely cover the line as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, we haven't put a bet together for this game just yet. That'll be up on our Any Given Sunday AU podcast, on the feed, on Sportsbet. We were very stiff last week's one. But I have I have chosen my Any Given Sunday bet of the week. And it is on the Monday night game. Jets over the Bills at home, $2.18 with that new coach bump every day of the week. That is, Jets are going to get the win there, I reckon.
For sure, because these players have already come out and said we're the ones who really need to be held accountable for this. Like, it's on us that, our head coach got fired. So they're going to go out there and prove that they are a team and they're a winning team. So I think that is a very, very safe Any Given Sunday bet, and I like it.
$2.18. We will talk about it on Monday or Tuesday morning, but the Bills coming off a stinker as well. Like, they're going to be fired up. I can't see Allen throwing 9 from 30 this week, but I reckon the Jets coming home in MetLife, $2.18 was just too juicy for me to not pass up.
Oh, you got to jump on that. We need to get our Any Given Sunday record back into the winning column as well. We're like the 49ers.
We are. We're too good to be not where we are. Yeah. All right, mate. Enjoy. We've done well considering your house is literally being teared around. I haven't heard a single thing behind you, so you've done pretty well.
Beautiful, because I can hear it through these headphones. And these are noise-cancelling bad boys.
Beautiful. Nah, we're good. All right, mate. Enjoy. Good luck to the Eagles. The Packers will get the job done. I don't even know who we have. Who do we have?
The Eagles are facing the Browns, which...
Oh, if you don't get the job done there, then Sirianni should be in all sorts of trouble.
Oh, at least we got a coach we can hire in Rob Saleh. I heard he's available.
Bill Belichick at the Eagles.
Hey, it's not the first time it's been rumoured. It's not the first time.
Not to throw something in late, but if you guys lose to the Browns, is Sirianni in all sorts? Is he the next one to go?
100%. I thought he would go before Rob Saleh. So the fact that he hasn't, well, you're next up, mate. Check that temperature on that seat because it is hot.
Yeah, well, we both said that Saleh's seat wasn't as hot as what it actually was. So Packers have got Arizona in Green Bay. I'm pretty confident with that.
Yeah, we'll see. A little Kyler Murray love battle. Oh, gosh. God, I'd love to see it. I can't believe you didn't know that.
And second half, Jordan Love is MVP favourite. First half, we start off slow. Second half, he is elite. So enjoy, mate, and we'll see you next week.
Catch ya.